Hi, I'm Patrick Dunnican. At Gibbons, we believe that citizens need to be informed about the complex issues that affect their lives. That's why we're proud to support the programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by Gibbons PC. With 200 attorneys, Gibbons is a full-service law firm focused on handling major matters for mid-market companies and mid-market matters for Fortune 500 companies. NJIT, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. PSE&G, committed to providing safe, reliable energy now and in the future. Operating Engineers, Local 825. The New Jersey Education Association. And by NJM Insurance Group, serving New Jersey's drivers, homeowners, and business owners for more than 100 years. Promotional support provided by ROI-NJ, informing and connecting businesses in New Jersey. And by Insider NJ.
Welcome to a very special edition of State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. Yes, we're doing this remotely out of East Main Media Studios in Little Falls, New Jersey. Like most folks in the media, we're attempting to do what we do and look at the issues and follow what's going on. If you want to follow day to day, look at NJTV News, Metro Focus, other places. But we're trying to take a bigger picture view of this coronavirus situation. We're taping on the 20th of March. These issues will remain with us. There'll be other issues that will be complicated and exacerbated by this. In an effort to try to make sense of things, we reached out for a gentleman who's been with us many times. He's the president of the state Senate. He's Steve Sweeney. Senator, how are you?
Steve, I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. I see that you have your wipes right there. I have mine right here, and we're doing what we need to do. Senator, let me ask you.
Part of life.
Yeah, it is part of life. Can we talk about that? As we do this program, on the 20th, again, it'll be seen after that. You met in the legislature yesterday. A lot of important business we'll talk about. Was meeting together in the State House different because of the coronavirus? And if so, how?
Steve, well, we didn't allow the public in. The Senate, for the first time, I really believe in history, on its own, voted in the Assembly chamber by voice vote because we wanted to spread out. You know, the Senate chamber is much smaller than the Assembly chamber because
That's right.
Obviously they have 80 members, we have 40. So to keep the social distancing that everyone talks about, we went, the speaker was gracious enough to let us use his chamber, and we conducted business there. And, you know, Steve, you know, we always used to press a button. Well, we couldn't press buttons, so they were roll call votes. So, yeah, it was a very strange feeling. But it's like the new norm. We have to do everything we can do to protect my members, but we had to be there to do the business of the people while we have this crisis going on. And one of the bills we passed was what we'll be able to do voting sessions in the future, you know, if we're sheltered at home.
Remotely?
And we need to take action.
You'll be able to do them remotely, Senator?
Yes, only now because of the emergency. Governor Murphy signed the bill that allows us to set up, and we've been looking at the different technologies, and, you know, some people know what tele-town halls are. A lot of legislators use them. The AARP uses them. Real possibility that might be one avenue so that the public can hear the debate and know what we're doing. So again, we want to we want to be out there as much as we possibly can but we have to protect everyone also. So doing it by distance in this time right now is obviously the best.
This is a special edition of State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. You can see it on the screen that the fact that it's previously recorded, we're taping on the 20th of March. It'll be seen after that. Let me ask you this, Senator. You have proposed a series of ideas, and again, we're dating ourselves just by doing this, to try to help people, businesses, try to deal with this crisis connected to the coronavirus. What are the most important aspects of what you have proposed in legislation, and where is it now, and what impact will it have?
Well, Steve, we proposed 13 ideas. Half of them the governor can do by executive order, and we urge him to do that. The others have to be done legislatively. We're drafting the legislation, but it's giving businesses relief because, Steve, we want all of our small businesses to come back after this. But you have to recognize small businesses mean they're small and there's not a lot of wealth hanging out there. You have people that are working very hard in the little mom and pop stores that if they go for a few months without any money coming in, it's a problem.
That's
so,
right.
This whole package was a thought process, which, oh, by the way, I don't have all the ideas on it. I'm more than open to people that have ideas. I met on a call today with the casino industry, Steve, about we know they're shut down, but how can we get them up and running quickly when this is over? You know what I'm saying? So getting ideas so that we're proactive and in position to help businesses survive in this downturn. And it is a bad time. And we want as many businesses as possible to be able to come back to life after this. But there's a reality, some won't.
And so let's deal with that, because we were talking to your colleague in the Republican colleague in the other house, John Bramnick, earlier today. It'll be seen after Senator Sweeney's interview. And you know that John Bramnick has been a fiscal conservative for a long time. And I asked him what needed to be done, and he made mention of the proposal you had. And I said, Assemblyman, if it busts the budget, which has to be struck by the last day of June constitutionally in New Jersey, then what? And he said, doesn't matter. We need to spend whatever we need to spend in government to help businesses, to help people deal with this. And it doesn't matter. We'll figure out the fiscal implications later. Do you agree?
100%. Listen, I'm a fiscal conservative. You know that. But at the end of the day, Steve, one of the greatest things I'm seeing, though, is that we're coming together. To see a 98-0 vote out of the United States Senate to help people is about time. And yesterday, my voting session, almost every single bill was unanimous. And John's just not my comrade, my colleague. He's a friend. He's a good friend. And we're all coming together, and that's what's important. And rather than the political stuff that goes on, we're focusing on what's best for people. What sense does it make to say, at the end of the day, when someone's lost their house, oh, well, we saved X.
Right.
So we did good because we saved X, but you lost it all. So again, in this time, we have to look and find ways to help people, to make sure people can get unemployment easier, that, relax the rules and make it happen quicker.
Go on longer? Should unemployment benefits go longer,
whatever
Senator?
We need to do. Whatever is necessary to help our residents weather through this. Because, look, you saw some of the bills we passed yesterday. You can't foreclose. Extending loans. And I know the governor just did that. So, or the president just did that. Extend it for 3 months where you don't have to pay college loans. So all the way around, everyone's jumping in now in a very positive way. It's like rushing to a fire to try to put it out. And it's a good thing. This is what I'm happy to see, that we as a nation, as a state, actually are banding together, because it's going to get bad, Steve, but it's going to get better.
Why are you so confident of that? I'm sorry for interrupting, Senator.
I'm very confident.
Why are you talk about that?
Well, listen, it's going to ramp up, and everyone's told us that. But the good news are there's plants opening up around the world. In fact, one in China that makes the masks, whatever the 95 masks are. They just opened up production again. Once we know our first responders are protected, that's going to take a lot of stress off of everyone. And this is going to be around for a little while, but once someone has gotten this, to a lot of people, this is the flu. So 85% of people are going to recover just like they just had the flu. So, the population base is going to start to build back up. I think that, one, Governor Murphy's doing the right thing, the precautions he's taking, I agree with. But understand, it will get better. It's going to be tough for a little bit, but yeah, we're New Jersey. No one ever thought we were softies. You know what I mean? We're a pretty tough group of people.
You're tougher than
And
most.
I really believe that we're going to come out of this, and it's going to take time. But if we take the right actions now, and like John Browning said, what's the sense of if you have to bust the budget, because we have to make sure that every single thing we can do to help someone get through this so they can start their life up again. Think about this. Before this happened, the market was humming along. Businesses were booming. You had the record low unemployment. That's all still there. It's just we got to get back to it. Right. And it'll take longer to get back to those levels, but it's there to be done.
Let's remind folks we're taping on the 20th of March. Will be seen after that. This is the Senate President, Steve Sweeney. This is Steve Adubato. We are doing this remotely, and just to let everyone know, because we've been letting folks behind the scenes more and more in the media, we're all about 10, 15, in some cases 25 feet apart from each other. Senator's doing the same thing with his team. Let me ask you this. The state government can only do so much. The federal government is critical. What do you believe the appropriate role of the federal government is in helping states like New Jersey and, most importantly, our people?
Well, I think the federal government is actually doing it now. They're trying to stimulate the economy. They're trying to make sure people have some money in their pocket. We're working together. You see Governor Murphy and President Trump actually talking. You know what I mean? It's like I've really seen a turn in the way people are looking at this now. And we need the federal government. We absolutely need the federal government.
Were they flat-footed, Senator? I'm sorry. Listen, we're not playing the blame game, but I need to ask you this. And I also know that public officials on every level are holding back to some degree when they need the help from other government officials. But do you believe that the federal government, on a significant level, to a significant degree, was caught flat-footed by this?
I think we missed a window of opportunity to maybe lessen the curve, Steve. But regardless, that's Monday morning quarterbacking. I could blame the president or I could thank him for helping us. And right now, I really believe that you can't cry over what was missed or if we underestimated things. We are where we are, and we, together with our federal partners, need to move forward.
So that being said, what's interesting is that there are other issues that, if you were with us in quote unquote normal times, and we hope, even though there's going to be a new normal, we have you in the studio and we're face to face again, we would be talking about the arrangement, the agreement, frankly, that you came to. You and I have had so many conversations about public employee pensions and public employee health benefits. And we actually interviewed Marie Bliston, who's the president of the New Jersey Education Association. You haven't always gotten along with them. They haven't gotten along with you. But for the last few months, you've been in conversations with them, you and your staff, to achieve what, and why is it so significant?
To achieve savings for taxpayers and teachers. And we had two actuaries review this new healthcare system that we're proposing.
For public employees or for just teachers?
For just teachers.
Okay.
It'll save $1.074 billion. $670 million goes back to the school districts. $404 million goes to reduce premiums for teachers. It's the proverbial win-win. And Marie and I obviously have had our issues. But here's an instance, we're talking about the federal government, where we both came together and she said, I need relief from my members. And I said, but taxpayers need the same relief. And we negotiated a very fair deal because, Steve, I respect teachers. I value teachers. We all do.
Yep.
But I have to fight for taxpayers too. And by the way, teachers are taxpayers. But a lot of our public employees move out of New Jersey when they retire because it's too expensive. In fact, 30% of our public employees leave New Jersey because it's too expensive. So to be able to come up with a deal, and it was months in the making. And let me add, I want to thank Speaker Coughlin because he got us talking. Give him credit because he got us talking.
Craig Coughlin.
And by us talking led to negotiation. The original bill that was talked about was $300 million. This is $1 billion plus
In savings?
in savings. And what happens, Steve, like you're hearing about some school districts losing funding right now. A Toms River that's losing funding, they could save $6 million on this, which could go to STEM cuts. Now, what we put in the bill is that if school districts are 100% funded locally and by the state, then they have to give those savings back to the taxpayers in a tax reduction. Because there's going to be a lot of money, and I hate to say this, but the more money you give government, the more they find a way to spend it. So governments that are fully funded, school districts that are fully funded at the local level and the state level, they have to give the money back to the taxpayers. And by the way, the teachers union agreed with me on that. That's a good thing.
I want to be clear on this. The reason this is such an important issue, in addition to the coronavirus, maybe more important because of the coronavirus, is that the unfunded liability in the public employee pension fund. Give me a conservative estimate, Senator.
Well, if you look at the bond offerings from the state, pension and retiree health care is $222 billion in the hole.
So
it's a staggering number. So Steve,
go ahead.
We start to fix healthcare now. We start to reduce cost. That's in a fair way to teachers, a fair way to taxpayers. And it took time, but I'm proud of the accomplishment we had with them. The pension system, I proposed, it's going to be harder now because of what's going on, but I proposed adding $1 billion to the pension fund now because we're getting close to fully funding. The market, what happened in the market didn't help, but the market's come back. What goes down comes back up. You just can't panic.
Right.
So we're getting close to our fully funding of our pension system. And that will then enable us to start investing in things that I think that are very important, like funding higher education to the levels that we should be. We're 49th in the nation in higher education funding, which means we got the second most expensive four-year public institutions in the nation.
Early pre-K, child care. These issues are not going away once we get through the coronavirus situation. Again, they may be exacerbated because of this. We can't ignore them, correct, Senator?
You can't. And like I said, Steve, I want to get to where we get our full obligation of pension payment because people were promised pensions. They can't hit a button and start over at 21 again. They've committed their lives to the jobs that they've done, but we need a new system. And the governor has said this, that once he gets fully funding, that he's going to negotiate a new pension system. And I believe him. So that's a plus.
Senator, I'm sorry, I got about a minute and a half left. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Finish your point. I apologize.
But, fixing, every time we go to Wall Street and we say, well, look what we're doing better. They say, yeah, but what about your pension problem? And we're never going to improve our position until we show that we're making progress on that. And again, Steve, we have an obligation to pay these pensions. Just like someone has a 401k, you don't say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm broke, so I took your money. We have to pay them, but we have to fix them.
A few seconds left. New Jersey Transit seeking $1.25 billion from the feds because ridership is down in connection with the coronavirus. Is that the job of the feds? And what do you think the future of New Jersey Transit is? I put you on the spot with only about 40 seconds. Go ahead.
I think the feds are going to have to help bail us out, but I think transit has to do one hell of a better job than they've been doing. And I am not satisfied with we're making headway because I don't think we are. I think that we had a hearing on transit and the executive director, a very nice man, but he wasn't very forthcoming. And people deserve a top-notch transit system, not one that we have right now.
As we listen to Senator Sweeney, Senate President Steve Sweeney, just realized that ridership on New Jersey Transit greatly impacted by the coronavirus. Every issue, business is impacted, unemployment issues, people losing their jobs, as we said. Health is first, but there are fiscal implications, there are educational implications. Again, we couldn't even get into that in terms of time with our kids in schools. Senate President Steve Sweeney, stay safe. The state needs you. We look forward to speaking with you face-to-face in studio down the road. All the best to you and your family, Steve.
You too, Steve. Be careful.
This is State of Affairs. We're remote. That was Senate President Steve Sweeney. We appreciate you joining us. We'll be right back right after this.
To watch more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Welcome back to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. I've just listened to the Senate President, Steve Sweeney. I mean, so many things happening so quickly. We are not a news program, as I've said to you before. State of Affairs tries to look at the longer term, bigger picture issues. Once we get through this crisis, the coronavirus crisis. On the phone right now is a longtime friend, Kevin O'Toole, former state senator for many years in the state legislature. He is, in fact, the chairman of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and he writes a regular column in Insider. NJ, Kevin, good to talk to you. Your family doing okay?
Everybody's fine, Steve. How about you? Everybody good?
Absolutely. We have a great team that's making things happen remotely. Let me ask you this, Kevin. You wrote a column in Insider that talked about real leadership in times of crisis. It is not our place to blame, point fingers. Help us understand what, in your view, real leadership looks like on every level of government in a public health crisis.
Well, listen, leaders have to understand when a crisis like this comes upon them, they have to seize the moment. They have to make really important decisions immediately. Things change by the second. They got to surround themselves with people that they trust. They got to delegate more than they're comfortable with, and they got to be open to making changes given the new circumstances or the new events or the new facts that come before them. That's part of being a leader. You can't. This is the prime time. You can't melt away, and it's not for everybody, Steve.
It isn't for anyone. And by the way, Kevin's talked about leadership with us before. And the one part that's really interesting when it comes to government leadership, and I want former Senator O'Toole, the chair of the Port Authority, to take this on. What happens when government leaders don't know the answer, Kevin O'Toole? Do you say to the people, the citizens, we don't know when it ends. We don't know what's going to happen. Is that level of candor appropriate in a situation like this?
Two things. Look, people look at the leaders, whether it's community or political or corporate, to send a message to show stability. So you have to give them frank answers. And if you don't have the answers, defer to those in the industry, the scientists, the doctors, to give the facts and figures. The other thing that people do in our business, in politics, they try to outshine each other, step on each other's message. You can't do that. It's no time for partisan politics. The governors, let them say their piece. Let the mayors, the chair, the executive director of Port Authority, in a very calm manner, talk about what needs to get done, have a master plan, and get to it. And listen, you can't backbench or quarterback or nitpick now. We can always do that armchair stuff later on. This is too important. People will live or die based on what gets done today. Decisions that are made by leaders today.
If you're listening on the audio side, this is Kevin O'Toole, former state senator, former assemblyman, served for many years in the legislature, a senior member of the legislature, went on to become the chairman of the Port Authority, has his own law practice. Let me ask you this, Kevin. For local mayors, and you've been in local government, correct?
Correct. 7 years, 3 terms as a mayor.
So what happens to a mayor or for a mayor if he or she is thinking, I've got to take care of my people. I can't wait for the state. I can't wait for the feds. Can government really serve people in a public health crisis like that? Or do you have to wait for the higher level of government to step in?
Well, like in Essex County now, you have Joe DiVincenzo, the county executives, having daily phone calls with the mayor, with the sheriff, Armando Fontoura. That's the way it's got to get done. Individual mayors can't get ahead of themselves, have either strict or more lax boundaries or restrictions. They got to comport with what the county says and what the governor says. There's some individuals who are trying to be more restrictive than the governors. The governor's executive orders are the law, and you can't have something that's more restrictive than that's local. It's not going to be enforceable.
One more quick question here, because you understand the legislature better than most, because you understand the United States Congress, which is the legislature, if you will, in the federal government. What is the appropriate role in your mind for a legislative body when executive decisions are the ones that need to be made? And frankly, it's hard. It seems hard to make decisions in a legislative body, be it on the federal, state, or local level.
Well, it seems to me, though, at the federal level that McConnell and Schumer are coming together with Speaker Pelosi and President Trump. They get along on nothing. It seems to me with this third coronavirus package, they all seem to be speaking with the same voice, that this is an emergency package, on par with 2008, that they're working together and hopefully get some quick action. There's no time for political rancor. Republicans, Democrats, Independents are all pulling together, Steve. This is a very brief period in our time. You'll see, hopefully, all of us stand together as Americans and pull ourselves out of this crisis.
One more quickie, Senator. Kevin O'Toole, do you feel like once we get through this, and we will, God willing, prayers, hard work, people doing the right thing, social distancing, to what degree do you believe we change as a nation in terms of being one, even if we can't agree on everything?
Listen, we are changed. I got a 22-year-old and a 20-year-old. You got that generation who've never faced this crisis. It's not the Great Depression babies, the baby boomers who have gone through some of this, the 9/11 folks who've experienced tragedy at the highest level. So you're seeing an entire generation, entire group being exposed to a crisis of epic proportion. And it makes us all a little smarter, wiser, and hopefully we can prepare ourselves as a society for the next eventual crisis that comes before us, and we will be better prepared.
That is, I want to thank the chairperson, the chair of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, an incredibly important organization, particularly at a time like this, former state senator who is an attorney in private practice, Kevin O'Toole. Kevin, thank you to you and your family. Be safe, be well.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. You too.
Got it. This is Steve Adubato. This is State of Affairs. We may be remote, but we're doing everything we can, like everyone else in the media, to try to bring important information to you, but also take a longer-term look at the situation. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Gibbons PC, NJIT, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, PSE&G, Operating Engineers, Local 825, the New Jersey Education Association, NJM Insurance Group, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State. And by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by ROI-NJ and by Insider NJ.
I think at NJIT there are a lot of smart students.
I came to NJIT for mechanical engineering because with in-state, it's one of probably the top 3 schools for engineering.
It sort of creates a friendly competition where you can learn from them.
It's a great academic school.
I feel I'm being challenged, but at the same time, I love the classes I'm taking.
The atmosphere of being here is like being at an upstart company. It's that same kind of drive, that same kind of passion.